Hi guys, it's your Island Girl, and I'm back with another reaction video for you today. And today I'm reacting to "The UK is Dying and I Need to Vent." Now I'm getting this one from Edukate. The link will be in the description below. Please go over and show her some love. Tell her your Island Girl sent you. Now it's Educate as in Edukate. All right? Guys, this one came across my feed as a suggestion. I'm like, interesting, because you all know that I'm in love with the UK and I can't wait to visit and experience the UK for myself. So I was surprised when this came across my radar. So we're going to get right into this one. So if you're new here, come on in. Thank you for clicking on this video. Don't forget to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and let me know what you'd like me to check out next in the comment section. So all my regular schmeglers, there one, to the pie, to the poos, come on in right back. Put a smile on your face and enjoy. Let me hear what Kate has to say. Here we go right about now.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Kate, and I am 29 years old. I am Scottish.
Okay.
3/4 Scottish, 1/4 Irish, but I spent my whole life in Scotland and consider myself Scottish. However, since June of this year, 2024, I haven't lived in Scotland or any part of the UK.
Oh.
Firstly, I lived in Greenland for 4 months, which is very random, but I had a really cool job opportunity there. And then that was basically a fun folly, with afterwards the plan being to move to Hong Kong to teach English, which is where I've been for the past 2 months. And this is now my home. You know, I'm not saying forever, but definitely for at least a year. And I want to talk to you a little bit about why I feel that way. So, small amount of context. That this channel that I'm posting this on, it's got like 100 subscribers, so it's completely irrelevant. However, what I want it to be is a channel where I interview people. I interview people because I really enjoy that. I love talking to new people. I love having new experiences. But why I'm kind of breaking the mold today and just talking to the camera is because the last person I interviewed was a guy called Daryl Solis. And Daryl, apologies, I've not talked to my GoPro before. And Daryl did a viral video about leaving the UK and why he chose to do that. And as I was having that conversation with him and reflecting on it afterwards, I realised there was so much more that I wanted to say as someone myself in a position who's chose to leave the UK.
Okay.
So let me tell you why I chose to leave the UK, why I feel better already for it, and why I would, with a heavy heart, and I mean that seriously, I do love my country a lot, but with a heavy heart, I would genuinely recommend that if you're watching this as a young person in the UK, you consider moving.
Oh.
So the first reason is,
before she goes further, as you can see, she's a very young lady. She's 29 years old, so she's young, and she's been there all her life. She's just out of UK now. About, she said, 6 months from June 2024. So you can see it's not really a long time since she left, and she loved her home, but she's going to explain why. This is interesting to hear, and she recommends if you're a young person to move out of the UK. All right, let's see where she's going with this one.
Is that you're genuinely paid shit. Like, even if you think you're on a good wage, half of that goes in taxes. That's if you're on a really good wage, right? And if you're not on a good wage, the reason you don't pay half in taxes is because the government knows that you need that money literally to survive. So the money you're making isn't to have fun with, it's literally to get you through the month so that you can work for the next month. We live in a country where if you try to better yourself by going to university, the interest you pay on your education means that it's basically guaranteed that for the rest of your working life, you're 10%, 9%. So 10% of that is going to be taken away from your salary. And if you're someone who isn't making that much to begin with, or did a degree that's completely vital for the economy, you might resent that for the rest of your life, 9% of your education but is taken away because of your education.
What?
Your choice to better yourself costs you so much money. And if you're like me, then you will have graduated but never had a graduate job. So you'll be paying 9% just for the experience, which quite frankly is bollocks because, for me personally, half of my experience of university was during COVID, so the experience wasn't there. But also just in terms of how I feel as someone with, an, an okay amount of intelligence, I don't attribute much of what I've learned in life to my university experience at all. It's just not worth it. It's very
I am kind of lost here from what she's explaining, to be honest with you. Because I was under the impression that you guys go to university, majority of the your college education is free in most places in the UK, or it is way lower than what it is in the US. Now, she's saying that 10% of that, because of the experience, whatever job you get, 10% is going to come out of it. And then she's also saying that you're living hand to mouth from working. You cannot survive outside of what you're working on, especially if you don't pay a high tax. So basically, what she said is like a rep. I'm looking at a lens. If that's the case, the UK is that way. Then I'm looking at a lens from the US into the UK because that's how the US is run. And of over 2.5 years now that I've been looking into the UK, I've never heard anyone say anything like that before. So this really is very interesting.
very frustrating to owe a government so much money when you just don't feel that you've got much back in return. And it's the same with taxes. Look, I grew up left leaning. I'm still left leaning in principle, in theory, but it's if you can't see where your taxes are going, it's so stressful. It's so stressful that
Oh, okay.
such a high percentage of your income can be taken away from you when you know what you could do with that to better your life. And in the process of bettering your life, better the lives of the people around you and society. If you could get a house and if you could, invest in some skill sets, blah, 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 with that money, that would be good for the economy.
That's
That
true.
would be good for your community. But instead, you throw it down a money hole. That's really what it feels like. I had poor mental health a few years ago, and I was told it was a priority that I get therapy. And I was put on a waiting list for therapy. And 15 months later, I got a call to start therapy. And by then, I had to decline it
15
because
months.
my address had changed. So the area that I was entitled to it for, I was no longer in. And I was considered critical. I was the priority, and it took 15 months. Now, I got to sort myself out in that case. So, but so many people don't. Some people literally die.
You can see it in her face and her body language that it hurts her to sit here and talk about this. And you can hear the heaviness in her voice saying, look, I don't get the point of so much of the taxes going to where you don't know where it's going. One, why take so much when a lot of people can use that portion or some of it to better their life and better the people around them. I get what she's saying 100%. But then she talk about what's happened and she went 15 months to get the help that she needs. And she didn't get it because she wasn't in that specific area anymore because her address has changed. That's a long wait just to get help for a critical. Okay, okay.
And I'm gutted for them. I have a younger sister who is quite severely disabled, and so she's just it's a very clear-cut situation where she's someone who completely needs support and will never you know will never get a house based on of the money she's saved or anything. She's entitled to supported living accommodation, and she got on the waiting list this year. And in Dumfries and Galloway, it could be 5 to 10 years before she gets supported living accommodation. So
What?
in 10 years' time, theoretically, could be when she moves out of mum's. By then, she will be in her late 30s. This is someone with dreams to be independent.
Wow.
And by then, my mum will be in her late 60s and will have looked after my sister for 38 years. Obviously, you should be such a primary part of caring for your loved ones when they're sick or disabled.
Yeah.
That's how it's always worked. But the idea that there's basically no chance of support, and the idea that, unless you're mega rich, you just have to accept that situation. It's such a disservice to my sister. It's a disservice to my mother, who has paid taxes her entire life, who's always contributed so much to this economy. Now that it's time for her to get something back, she's not going to, or at least not for basically ever. And also, when I think about the fact that my sister's very well cared for by my mum is someone who enjoys caring for my sister and can basically do it. When I consider that that's the best case scenario, but out there in Scotland there are so many far more compromising situations where they will also be told it'll take 10 years, and lives are falling apart in those situations. People are being abused. Finances are being ruined. It's very upsetting.
My heart hurts just hearing her. I had shivers all. I don't know if you guys can see the goose pimples on my body. It makes me sad in my heart to sit here and listen to her talk this way, because you're telling me that she went on a waiting list and 5 to 10 years, all her younger years. I understand that she has a disability, but will be gone because she wants to have that sense of independence. Not because she has a disability, doesn't want me that she wants to be under mom's care. You understand? Oh God. And I get it when she says her mom has paid taxes all her life and she'll never see the benefit of it at all. I did not realize it was this bad. And like I said, I'm surprised this video came across my radar because I sit here and I heard just listening to her say these things, and I'm like, oh my God, why? You know what? Let me keep that part to myself.
To me, if I could just circle back to mental health in the UK, I think every aspect of how mental health is treated in the UK is so damaging for the mentally unwell. Because first of all, if you're a young person, you're quite obsessed with mental health. We're always analysing our feelings. We're always diagnosing ourselves based on stuff that we see online. We're constantly talking
So
about mental
true.
health,
Mm-hmm.
but we're stuck at that stage where we're overanalyzing ourselves, but no real help
It's
is
there.
given.
Yep.
And that's the worst of both.
Mm.
You know, what you want is that you get the opportunity to be self-aware, and you get the opportunity to explore who you are, vulnerabilities and all, but that you don't stay in that stage where you're kind of thinking, oh, who am I? What am I? Why do I feel like this?
Mm.
That stage is important because it then takes you to the next stage, which is action.
So true.
But we don't get to have action when the NHS just can't support you. You have to, and I'm sorry to be blunt, you have to literally have a suicide attempt or something crazy before you're urgent enough that they can really prioritize you.
What?
And then what does it mean that, like, you know, even when that happens, does it mean that you get to make a full recovery and you're really looked after, and a thorough investigation into your mental health is done from a holistic perspective as well as a medical one? Very unlikely. And if that's true for mental health, it would be true for physical health as well. Yeah, I think because of these riots that happened this summer, it's just obvious that people are very unhappy. Now, you know, depending on where you sit politically, you might feel that that unhappiness is legitimately because of immigration, or you might feel that that's misplaced anger and that it's actually about other things, or you might feel it's a bit of both. But either way, people in the UK are livid. They're so angry because we were brought up being told we lived in one of the best countries in the world.
That's true.
You know, that you were so lucky compared to other places. Now, of course, that's true.
It is.
But if every month you're working just to get through that month, and you are living in a place that isn't that nice, that's taking all your money in rent to pay for some, like, rich person's 7th holiday this year, and you know you don't feel respected at work, the weather isn't nice, you're anxious, you're becoming increasingly anxious because you're aware that you're aging and that you don't have a pension, and that you're never going to be able to afford a house, and oh shit, okay, like, can I even consider if I want kids? You know, because if I can't even afford kids, then is it even good for me to even consider if I can have kids? And if I can't have kids and I don't have my own place and I have no money, do I even want to date? Do I?
Dang, she's touching some valid points. I did saw about the riots the other day. I did saw some videos about it, and I see that what she's saying, that people are angry, people are livid about what's going on. Some might blame immigration. Some people might even blame the government. But you don't even know where the anger is. Where some angers are coming from. And it's sad to know that you have to go to that point in order to get help from the NHS when it comes to mental health. And a lot of people, I realize it's not just the UK, the US here, in Jamaica, where I'm from. It's like mental health is not taken seriously. And it's sad that you have to go to a point where it's like there's no turning back to get help. You understand? You because we're in a society, everything is so visual right now. You see everything in front of you on a screen, and we compartmentalize, and we judge ourselves, and we overthink things, and we get got to an excessive point where there's no turning back. But then you need the different facilities or different help, and you don't get it, it's not there. And why? And even, and then you have to go through these barrage of tests and questioning to figure out whether or not you are in that state. And then majority of the time, it pops up like, okay, well, that's not the case. You're not in need of this. And I'm like, I know what I'm going through. Or if this person's living in my house, I know what this person's going through. I'm the one that's being, I'm the one that's seeing it. Yes, I may not be a doctor, but the signs are there. Everything is there. And then the professionals are going to say, oh, no, you haven't passed certain things that it needed to be considered as. And I'm like, are you? So I get where she's coming from. And it's so sad that you have to sit down and you have to think, look, I'm working from hand to mouth. Do I need to be in a relationship? Or will I ever be able to own a house? Will I ever be able to live a life that is pleasing and I'm happy in the end? You have to stress, you're stressing about these things at a tender age. And the job opportunity, you're working, but you're considering to yourself, what is the point of me working? For what? Just to pay the rent? To do, and then she touched on another point, being disrespected at work is like the working environment is so harsh, and you got to deal with all of that, man.
You know, even want to feel that I have an opinion? Do I want to, you know, really pursue my dreams? Can I?
Mm,
It takes so much from you.
it does. It
It's
does.
very upsetting. I didn't feel this upset a few years ago. A few years ago, I would have said, look, everywhere's got their problems, which is true.
That's true.
And I would have said, you know, a lot of this comes from a lack of perspective.
Mm.
If you go to other places, you'd realise that you've got it better. And the people love to moan, etc., etc. Well, I've now been to quite a few places, I'm very lucky to say. And of course, it's true that everyone's got their problems, but this idea that the UK is better than everywhere else is just bollocks. You know, that mindset we have is really holding us back. It really stops us from feeling that we can complain, Yeah. So what made my mind change a few years ago is that I graduated from a pretty good uni, if I may say so. I applied for a shit ton of graduate jobs and I couldn't find any. And for a while, I was actually okay with that because it's like, well, this is, you know, you're going to spend the whole of your life in a good job. So if you have 2 or 3 years where you don't, and you're doing waitressing, which is fun, but not making you a lot of money, then that's cool. You've no responsibilities right now anyway. Anyway, years and years went by where I was always applying and doing this minimum wage job waitressing, which I did enjoy it, but you know, there's no money in it, there's no respect, and eventually it really compromises your CV if it's all you can say you've done. How I managed to be a waitress, so someone on minimum wage, but still not live at home with my parents, was that I was a live-in waitress. So I worked in a
Oh,
hotel that I also lived in staff accommodation in the side of. And the hotel, it's nothing that dramatic, but it was just one of these hotels where like the managers above you make 50p more, but they're dead arsey to you. You know, they think that makes them it, even though they're not necessarily better at the job, they've just been there longer or whatever.
yep.
And then, you know, the people that own the hotel are quite out of touch. You know, they don't pay you extra at Christmas. They don't. You've worked for them for ages, but they don't know your name, etc., etc. I found that I was becoming quite resentful that I worked there, considering my education, which I understand is very snobby. I'm just being honest about how I was feeling, and I was beginning to feel like I'm behind in life. This isn't where I want to be, because I'm working for less money than I need, and I'm working to make someone else millions who I don't care for because they don't care for me. And
Ah,
I enjoy the job in that I like interacting with other people. I like giving people good experiences, but this isn't my passion, you know. But so
I can so relate to what she's saying. And I think a lot of people can relate to what she's saying because that is the case. You go to university, you left college and you apply for all these jobs, and you're coming out majority of the time, you're finding a waitress job, or you're going to, you get a minimum when you think you spend so much time getting the education and the job is going to be there, that dream job that you're looking for, it is so hard to find. And then, all right, you haven't found it. And when you're young, you say, okay, I have a little time to spare. And I see what she's saying because you say, okay, I'm still young. I have a little, I don't have a lot of responsibility. So let me just pick up a job where it's something that's fun and I can do. But the person, your supervisor, your manager over you are very disrespectful because they're making a few more shillings than you are because they're not the boss, but they're so mean and disrespectful. It's not even funny. And then seniority caused them to do it, to be in that position, even if they're not doing the job better than the person that just walked in or that person that have that is hospitable to other people. And then you don't know the managers and they don't necessarily know what's taking place underneath them because they're just collecting their bag. No, I have no issues with persons who are owners, don't get me wrong. But I see what she's saying. There's no incentives to want to be there, because and then in some of these jobs you can't even elevate. There's no getting from point A to point B. You're just in one position, and the disrespect is not worth it. Yeah, yeah. And then you start thinking, what did I go to uni for? What's the point of me going to university? You know what I mean? Jeez, this is it's hard out here. It is. It is.
but then I slowly realized, Kate, you've got it good. Most people your age
Sorry.
in the UK either live with their parents or they live in a city and they get to have all the independence that comes with that, and all the, like, some cool memories going out drinking and stuff, but they pay a shit ton for that.
Yeah.
So even if you're in a good job, like say you're making 50 grand, which would be twice as much as what I was making as a waitress, once you take off the tax and you take off the very high rent, these people probably have less expendable income at the end of each month than you do. In fact, I know that they do.
Majority
And
of the
that
time.
put things into perspective for me, because then I had to realize your life's not what you want it to be, Kate. Your life doesn't feel that good right now, but you have got it good in comparison to uh, to a significant percentage of people your age in your country. And that's when
Wow.
I was faced with a choice. Do I accept that? Do I, obviously I'm always a fan of gratitude, but do I accept that to the extent that I just bury down my frustrations,
Or do I change it?
or do I do something about that? And and that's why I decided that I was gonna move abroad. Not because abroad is perfect, but because I need a palate cleanse from the UK. It's making me sad.
Mm.
I need a palate cleanse from the distrust in the air and the increasing anxiety in the air. And I need a break from being so anxious when I get each paycheck that I've got to save this. Like, what can I save each month so that, if I save this and this and this in
Ooh.
5 years, I might have a deposit in 10 years, and having to sacrifice quite basic experiences like going to the pub or, going for a meal out with my boyfriend when we were dating, because that 50 quid made with every little help so much, blah, 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 you know,
Man.
really feeling you had to just not live so that one day you could live. And look, I'm
Wow.
all for that as a short-term strategy, but thinking about that in terms of the 10 years of your life,
Now,
so that you can have 30 grand, so that can be a deposit, which is then the start of paying a mortgage for the rest of your life.
man, I know I'm pausing, guys, but Jesus. Man, that hits like a brick when she said, you put in this off, not live to live 10 years from now. So you're trying to save every little nook and cranny as you can and put off to to have a little joy here and there. The anxiety of when you get that paycheck and you see all the bills you paid, how much is I do that. I did that. I was like, shook when I pay this, when I pay that. Oh, maybe I'll have $20 left, and if I have $20 left, how much can I save out of this $20? And I'm like, jeez. And then she said, then you save the down payment for that mortgage, for that house, and that is the start. That even not even the end or the middle. It is the start of what you have to. And I know every country have their problem. Every country have their downfall with a lot of things. And from everything that I've seen so far, I am still in love with the UK. Don't get me wrong, but it is sad to hear someone else explain that. Listen, I need to run, and you need to run from here because it is not feasible. This is not way to live. This is no way to live at all.
I think things are going to get worse in the UK.
It is everywhere. It is getting worse everywhere.
A lot of people are going to blame Labour for that. I think, you know, I'm still open-minded about the Labour Party, but as in the damage that's been done in the 12 years prior is still in effect. So even that is going to be tough. It's not just UK's government policies that is making the UK and the Western world a tough place to live. We also spend all of our time on social media.
Oh, ding, ding,
It drains
ding.
us mentally, even when we don't realize it.
Yep.
We don't socialize in real life as much as we should. And we far less people are having kids and being in meaningful relationships. It's sad.
It is.
It's sad that you miss out in these things in life during the most developed period of civilization.
True.
I'm not someone with any of the answers. I'm just someone that really felt I actually just had to do this video because talking to Daryl, realized that I have been suppressing a lot of emotions about the opportunities in my country as a young person. I've been suppressing them out of guilt that other people have it worse. I've been suppressing them out of disbelief, considering how often we're told that Britain is amazing. And I've been repressing them because a lot of these problems I blamed on myself. That I wasn't doing well in life, or as well as I could have,
Oh, wow.
But so many more people are talking out than ever before that Britain is really going down the shitter. And I'm very grateful to those people because they've helped me articulate my feelings, and they've helped validate my feelings, and they've also m- made me a little hopeful in that the more people that start talking about it, the more chance there's something that will actually be done about it. Yeah. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Like I say, it's whatever. But yeah, it's New Year's Eve in Hong Kong. I'm now gonna go out and watch the fireworks. And I really, really wish you a beautiful 2025. Okay, lots of love.
Lots of love to you too, my darling Kate. I get what she's saying 100%, and it is sad that that's just how it is. But one thing I can say, she's hopeful, and that's a plus. She's hopeful that it's not just her who is speaking her mind. There are other persons who are doing it, and from the interview that she did, she was able to articulate what she wanted to say. Um, and 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 it's thinking that with other persons saying how they feel and what's going on, that some change will come. It is sad that that's how it is in the world that we're living in, that people don't socialize no more. And even when you do socialize, it's not meaningful. The relationships that you have, there's not much substance to it because everybody is in a me society where they don't think of anybody else but themselves. Um, and majority of people do, she's right, live on a screen, live on social media, and they see this kind of lifestyle that's depicted on it, and they think that's how it's supposed to be, or that's how it is, and everything is picture perfect. But one thing I realize a lot of people don't realize or unrealize, and something that baffles me is that how people see all this online and think it's picture perfect and that's what they want. There's not, people show you what they want you to see, and that's what I can't wrap my head how people think that. Yeah, in reality, this is how it is. We are in a world where it's. I've watched so many videos about the UK, and I'm still in love with the UK. And she's not saying that she's not still in love with Scotland. You understand? But she's saying it is going downhill. And that's how the US is. And that's how I feel about my country as well. You understand? It's like the 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 infrastructures are not there to help. I always get upset when I stop to think about the time that people spend in college, and then when they walk out, there's no jobs. They're hunting, spending all this money, and then they're saying, okay, this is what my life is going to be. Yes, I have this degree. Yes, I have this foreknowledge. And there's nothing to show majority of the time when you get out. Every country has its issues. And it just keep getting worse and worse. And it's like you see, it feels like there's no end in sight. It's the island girl, and I'm running out of here. There's so much I want to say, but I think I'm gonna leave this one and do a video by itself to say what I want to say. Like, take a page out of Kate's book. It's the island girl, and I'm running out of here. There's something that I hope though that a lot of young people are listening to her, like, to wake up and see that there's much more that life has to offer. But you have to make that change. You see it, you have to make it. That you don't have to take that step to make the change. It's the island girl, and I'm running out here. Be good, be kind, be safe out there. Put a smile in the face. You never know who you may encourage. And so a lot of times you think that if you're in this position and it burdens you to think, man, there's a lot more people out there going through worse. It's that can be so burdensome at times. Love you guys, and I'll definitely catch you guys in another video. Bye.